Despite the fact that North Korea is cut off from most of the world, it still has a GDP of 28.5 billion. So where are they getting their cash? Crime. A ton of it is from crime. Let's take a look. If there's one thing that North Korea is famous for now, it's for how much they bring in from hacking. There are a ton of headlines every year about scary North Korean hacker boogeymen, but what exactly are we talking about here? Be honest, if I told you that there was an organization of hackers called the Lazarus group that was run by a shady government to commit cyber attacks, you would 100% think that I was describing a plot to a James Bond or a Batman movie, and nope. This is reality. North Korea has a legitimately terrifying state-sponsored cybercrime group, though they internally refer to it as the 414 Liaison Office. Yeah, that definitely doesn't sound like something straight from a Bond film. Supposedly, they are recruited at a young age and then sent to China to be educated in all things malware so that they can come home and act as cyber criminals on behalf of the North Korean government. You remember several years ago when Seth Rogen made that movie about taking out Kim Jong-un and hackers got into Sony's servers? This was evidently those guys. The organization seems to be split into two different teams. Blue Noroff is the team that's primarily tasked with stealing money from websites all over the world. Then there's Andariel, which is said to specifically target South Korea. According to the FBI, these guys are everywhere. They recently warned against companies hiring remote IT workers, and that's because of the chance that they may be from the Lazarus group. They are well known for committing massive attacks against websites in the United States and South Korea. Most recently, the organization was accused of attacking pharmaceutical companies during the COVID-19 pandemic. So, how much money are we talking here? Is there even any way to guess how much a country's illegal hacking group steals every year? And, well, South Korea took a shot at it. South Korea's spy agency has estimated that North Korea has stolen about 1.2 billion in the past 5 years. I'm not sure whether to be impressed or completely horrified. It's kind of terrifying to think that there's a whole brand of warfare that's just happening online. The United States alone spends $10.8 billion on cybersecurity every year. Businesses worldwide spend like $150 billion on cybersecurity every year. And despite all that, there's still a ton of cybercrime out there, like that crypto heist in January of 2023 that got away with millions. Ooh, and hey, kind of off topic, but don't forget to like and subscribe for more info on the most terrifying hackers out there and how they steal millions. For the most recent example of North Korean crypto crime, look no further than the Horizon Bridge crypto heist. Horizon Bridge is a feature that lets crypto holders move their assets in a supposedly secure manner. The Lazarus Group was able to hit Horizon Bridge using a privacy protocol called Railgun to lift a fortune of digital currency. They were able to steal over 100 million according to the FBI. This same strategy was used to steal 60 million only a few months earlier, so yeah, these guys mean serious business. Does anyone miss when criminals were just evil drug dealers like Al Pacino from Scarface? Well, I've got a surprise for you. North Korea is the Scarface of countries. When people think of the drug trade, they really think about Pablo Escobar-style cartels that run pretty much everything. While that's not inaccurate, it's definitely not the whole story. North Korea has been running a massive drug smuggling operation that dates back to the 1970s. This is a top-to-bottom organization that includes the manufacturing, selling, and trafficking of illicit substances. For most of North Korea's history in the drug trade, they've been growing fields and fields of opium. That is a much bigger drug in China, their primary drug market. This is really concerning for reasons that don't have anything to do with the controversies of the drug trade. North Korea has had a lot of issues with famine over the years. During truly harsh times in the 1990s, a lot of potentially viable farmland was used to grow opium instead of viable food. For some reason, I never learned about that problem while playing Stardew Valley, but anyone who has ever watched Breaking Bad knows that a new drug hit the market and hit it hard due to the fact that it could be completely made in a laboratory. Yep, of course, I'm talking about methamphetamine. In the 90s, North Korea got into this business and got into it hard. Today, most of China's methamphetamine crisis has to do with the drug smuggled in from North Korea. As far as inside the country is concerned, the issues with the substance are so bad that it's rumored to be used as a legitimate medication for some people. So how do they get away with all that? This should not surprise you at this point, but North Korea largely does this through a cover of legitimacy. There are a ton of front companies that are run under the Korean Worker Party's Foreign Relations Department. These companies smuggle the drugs in along with other goods and then make a ton of money doing that. The estimation that I found while making this is that they are making somewhere between 500 million and $1 billion a year. Everyone's always talking about how North Korea is building weapons, pointing weapons at certain countries, and selling weapons. So is that overblown? No. Even though many countries have blocked North Korea from buying or selling weapons, no surprise, but they still buy and sell a lot of weapons. The North Korean military builds guns, ballistic missiles, tanks, aircraft, and much more. They are well known for getting involved in global conflicts for billions of dollars in profit. During the Iran-Iraq War, they sold Iran an estimated $4 billion in weapons. Recently, they received a big lifeline when Russia invaded Ukraine. Even though North Korea has denied that it sells weapons to Russia, it almost definitely sells weapons to Russia. They do all of this through possibly the most complex arms smuggling ring the world has ever seen. They reportedly bring in billions of dollars despite all of the sanctions against them. As far as legitimate exports go, North Korea primarily exports commodities like textiles, iron ore, and coal, primarily to China. As far as illegitimate exports go, North Korea smuggles pretty much everything else. The main thing that North Korea smuggles is counterfeit cash. This operation goes back to the 70s, which seems to be the year North Korea really drove into the crime thing hard. The country counterfeits primarily to assuage its own economic issues and to sabotage the economies of other countries. Things have gotten so bad that countries like the United States have literally had to redesign their notes to make it harder for North Korea to counterfeit them. If you were wondering if North Korea had a creepy-sounding organization in charge of keeping this hush-hush, you'd be right. The organization known as Room 39 is apparently the country's slush fund manager. They deal with what's called super dollars because of just how good they are. Say what you want about North Korea, but they don't half commit to crimes. They also counterfeit a lot of totally legal drugs like Viagra that they then sell illegally in other countries. They also make tens of millions of dollars smuggling counterfeit cigarettes everywhere. They also are involved in the smuggling of exotic animals. Specifically, they are involved in the rhino horn and ivory game that they get from various countries in Africa. While most consider this to be a heinous crime that endangers exotic animals, it's considered to be an easy business for North Korea due to the relatively low risk of acquiring and moving them for enormous profits. Rhino horn especially is considered to be the holy grail of smuggled goods. Just one is worth around $250 million. Strangely enough, this isn't the most heinous thing they smuggle. There's also the human trafficking that North Korea deals in extensively, along with forced labor camps and other things that I can't really even get into without getting demonetized. Just imagine the most horrific things you can imagine, multiply that by 2, and then you'll be pretty close. Despite the fact that all of this is truly shocking, nothing about North Korea surprises me at this point. If I found out that Kim Jong-un has his own Jurassic Park with living dinosaurs, yeah, I wouldn't even blink.